Over the last few years, the Western industry has enjoyed a huge boom, and with that, more cowboy hat wearers than ever before. Hi, I'm Joe.
And I'm Connor.
Connor was the in-house hat shaper and lead instructor for the dealer education program at American Hat for over a decade.
And with that education program, we noticed there was a huge interest in learning how to shape a cowboy hat. That's why we came up with our own in-person and online hat shaping school.
We have a huge database of different hat shapes. Connor tells you exactly how to create each shape step by step. He makes it very easy, and it's one of the best instructional videos I've ever seen. I might be biased, but it's pretty good. You can check us out, cowboycartelgroup.com/school for more information. Today, Connor's going to show you how to do this. Cattleman Crown, Brim. Keep watching.
So the basis of a cattleman, just like many of your other shapes that you're going to be doing, all start off with a center crease. Now making sure you get your center crease straight and even is imperative to the finished product. So I like to start my hats off and go this way. I'll start in the center, put a little pressure, and then add pressure as I slowly come out. I'm not trying to make it perfect now, I'm just trying to get the basic of it. Now, I can come through, kind of look, see if I'm centered here, and see if I'm level. I like what I see. Now I'm going to come back through and clean it up. I use both fingers, and I'll push towards the end of the hat this way with my thumbs, using the pads of my thumb to kind of work out the pressure. I don't want to push too hard with the tips of my fingers. I want it to be kind of rounded and nice even pressure. Do the same thing on the other end. Coming down, pushing with the pad of my thumb. Now, using two fingers as I'm doing here, we'll get that center crease to be a little bit wider. You don't want this too narrow. You also don't want it really wide. I like to get mine where it's basically 2 thumb widths apart. Now I'm going to look from the side. It looks level. It looks even. Looking down the center here, it doesn't look like it's too far one side or the other. Now I need to work on my side dimples. Now when I do my side dimples, I will steam it and work on the side away from me. I don't start with the whole dimple. I take little bites at a time, and that's the best way to do it. Don't overwork the hat and don't overwork yourself. I'll steam it. I'll push right here just above the center crease, pull out and get the dimple started. Then I'll come back and actually finish it out. So just like this. Use my fingers, push down, pull out, and then I come back in towards the center, kind of pulling towards me, because I want this dimple to kind of bow in a little bit. Now I'm going to take my thumbs, come straight down and out. Then I'll come back up and meet in the middle. Now you have the basic dimple for your cattleman. Now I'm going to come back through with my thumb after I steam it again. I'm going to round out these edges. Rounding this out and getting rid of these rough edges is a major key in the finished product and making sure you have a clean finished product. Now I'm going to come through, use my thumb, push, and gently bring that dimple out a little further towards the end of the crown. Just slowly working it back and forth using my thumb and my forefinger just to kind of create that little shelf here. You don't want this dimple to be too low. If it's too low, this here is going to sit on your head. You don't want that. You want this to be a little bit above your head. Now I'm going to do the same thing back here with my thumb. Bring it back towards the end of the hat. Rounding it out. I'm working back and forth. You see, I'm not doing too much. I'm starting here and then I'm taking my finger and slowly dragging it down the shape. Every time you lift and put your hand back down on the hat, you create a different ridge or a bubble. You don't want that. You want it to be one nice fluid motion. And don't be afraid to keep re-steaming it. You see me steaming it a few times. I'm just making sure that hat is warm, making sure it's not going to crack on me. You don't want to hear any cracking sounds. The less you hear, the better. Now you have one of your dimples. Now we need to repeat that process on the opposite side. So just like we did before, I'm going to start right above the center crease, push down, pull out, and then bow back towards me a little bit. Now that I've got that, I can go ahead and do the same process of bringing it down, out, and back up. If you can get the hat hot enough, you can do this in one fluid motion. Now, though you can do it in one fluid motion, the hat will tell you what it wants. For example, I can feel the hat starting to kind of give resistance. It's already starting to cool off. They cool off quick depending what kind of environment you're in. If you're in a ventilated environment, the hat's going to cool off relatively quickly. So you have to move quickly. I was only able to get part of this dimple done before it started to dry. So now I have to re-steam it. Steam is your friend. So just as we did before, I'm bringing my thumb down towards the end of the crown. Just trying to stretch that dimple out lengthwise where it'll match this side. Same thing on this end. I want them to match lengthwise before I ever worry about trying to clean this up too much. Because it doesn't matter how clean they are, if you look down and see that one is way longer or way shorter than the other one, it doesn't matter how clean it's going to look. Now I'm going to come through and just slowly massage all the rough edges out of it. Now that I've got my dimples on the sides done, I want to come through and I want to hit this one last time and round out my edges on the end. Like this, just kind of rounding out the same process we did before, just rounding it out now. Same thing on the other end. Now we take one final look to make sure we're happy with what we have. Now we're ready to move on to the brim. We've got our cattleman, let's match it up with a brim. The most common brim you would see with a cattleman at American Hat Company was a J brim. That's what we're going to do today. As far as brims go, I always like to start at the back, and I always like to roll the back of my hat. Just roll it back and forth a little bit, all you want, kind of smile at you, because the back of your hat always has some sort of a curve to it. It does not need to be excessive, it just needs to be something to start with. As for the front, the corners, on a J brim, your corners are roughly 6 inches wide. So we'll go ahead and put our fingers down and gently bend up around. I'm holding down with my thumb and pulling up on the wire around my thumbs. Now, the first time you put these corners in, it doesn't need to be perfect. This is just something to start with. It's good to have some sort of a tape measure where you can measure what the brim looks like. Now that I have those corners in, I'm going to measure it and see where I'm at for reference. I'm right at 6 on the dot. I'm not sure if you can see that. Now, I'm going to make sure that it's straight and dead on. Lining up the crown and the brim, the easiest way to do that is to hold it in front of you and slowly tilt it down where this part of your valley and your crown lines up with the back. That's how you can make sure if it's straight, and then slowly tilt it straight down. I'll usually close one eye and then slowly tilt it down where I can look at my corners here, and I can look at the gap between the corner and the base of the crown. Or you can always lay it down on your table that you're working with. You can put your corners right on your edge and look straight down and see, does it look like the crown is going one way or the other, or does it look dead on? In this case, we are perfect. Now I need to worry about my lines. This is another area where people tend to struggle. You don't want your lines way out here, but you don't want them up against the crown either. You want on a J brim for them to be about halfway out. This is a very relaxed brim. It's not a high and tight brim, nothing like this. It's more relaxed. So what I'm gonna do is when I steam it, I'm gonna put my fingers right here on the inside of the crown, right on that band line, and I'm gonna hook my fingers around the wire. I'm gonna push with my thumbs and pull down with my fingers. And as I do that, you can see the hat kind of folds into place almost. And if you do this, the hat will kind of tell you where it wants to go. For example, you can see where it starts to kind of flex right in here. That's where I'm going to put my lines. I'm going to let the hat tell me what it wants. So, as I said, starting here, you want to start about where the temples are. Now I'm going to pinch just like this. I'm gently bringing my thumbs out to meet my forefinger, and I'm just pinching a little bit to kind of get this line started. Now, as I mentioned, this hat is cooling off quick, so I have to move quick. I cannot move very slowly or I will risk cracking the lacquer. But I have my line started, so I'm going to steam it once more, and then I'm going to bring those lines all the way up. Now I'm continuing. I'm just working my thumbs and gently pushing down and pinching. And you can hear a little bit of cracking. That is normal. You will hear a little bit. A little bit is not the end of the world. It just doesn't want to be excessive. Now, we have our lines. You can also see we have a little bit of a dip going. Now I'll come back through and emphasize these lines and actually get more of a dip going through the hat. Now you can see what I did is I steamed the bottom side. The reason for that is I want to use the moisture that that steam creates on the hat to help my hand kind of glide up there. It'll make one nice steady motion instead of having to come back and pinch and pinch and pinch. Same thing on the other side. Pinch and slide my hand forward, letting that moisture carry me all the way through. Now I'm going to come back down and look from the bottom. I'm going to look at my lines, make sure my dip and these lines come back to about the same spot. One's not further back than the other because that will make the front end tilt. Now we have our J. Now we need to come through and start adjusting all the way around. What I like to do is I like to start right here at the front. I like to level out my front, and I'm just gently pushing. The way I hold it is I'll gently hold it like this. I'll use my thumb on the bottom and these two fingers on top, and I'll rest part of the brim right here on the edge of my palm. And I'll gently push down with these two fingers and kind of push up a little bit with my thumb, just adding a little bit of pressure. Always use a little bit of pressure. You can always go back and add more. So now, once I've got the front, I'm going to start working my way around the edge. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to roll the back just a little bit more because I want a little bit more of a smile at the back. All I'm going to do is just gently squeeze. As I do this, that will round out the back more. Now I'm going to look at my sides. I can see they're a little too relaxed. I need to bring them up a little bit. So that same process I was doing here, I'm going to do here. I'm just going to do it backwards. Instead of pulling down, I'm going to be pushing up. So I'll use my thumb on the bottom and I push up with my thumb. Just gently working it. And there again, as you can see, going back and forth, steaming the hat as I go. I don't want it to be cold, I want it to be warm. The whole point of the steam is to make the coating on the hat malleable, where you won't crack it or damage it. Now, if you look at the left side here, you can see how it flows nice and easy into the back. It's not high and tight, but it's not laid out flat either. It's nice and relaxed. Now I want to look at the back. I want to make sure that line flows all the way through, and on this side it does. Now I need to carry it out the rest of the way. So continuing it, just gently putting pressure down, pushing up at the same time. And you can see, as I'm doing this, I'm looking at the hat. I'm taking a second to stop and look at what I'm doing. Every time I do something and make an adjustment, I want to double check my work. It's better to do it now and be critical now than after the hat is complete. From here, it's all just little detail work. Making sure one side is not higher than the other. Making sure one side's not more laid out than the other. Making sure your front isn't pulled down on one side or pulled up on the other. And just like that, you have a Cattleman with a J brim.
Thanks for watching, guys. We hope this free class gave you some great insights and helpful tips on shaping your hat just the way you want. If you found this video useful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our future tutorials. Now, if you're ready to take your skills to the next level, consider signing up for our full online pro hat shaping school at cowboycartelgroup.com. You'll get in-depth training straight from the pros, and we'll be with you every step of the way. And if you'd rather join us in person, we also offer 3-day hands-on classes right here in Fort Worth, Texas. For more info on those, just head to cowboycartelgroup.com or give us a call. We'd love to help you out. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.